Hey guys, Walker here. I have been... I'm gonna leave that one in. I've been getting into primitive skills the last few years, and I've just loved the simplicity of it all, the accessibility of it. Everyone has access to nature, whether it's in the city or not. There's some slice of nature that you've got, and there's some primitive skill that you can practice today. One of my favorites has been the hand drill fire. The usual thing, you have a stick on the bottom, and you have a skinny stick that goes on top. You do your hands like this on the skinny stick, and it makes a coal at the bottom with the dust. And you take that and you go, and you make a fire. I've only managed to make that work once, but I'm working on it. I think my big mistake is that I'm not putting my hearth, that's the bottom piece, not putting my hearth out in the sun to dry first, and Louisiana is very humid, so my hearths tend to retain a lot of moisture. So, hearth selection. How do you pick a hearth? The spindle I'll deal with in a different video because that's its own subject. Suffice to say, look up videos on horseweed. It's a very, very pervasive plant, and it's easy to find, easy to identify. It makes a great spindle. That's what I made my first friction fire with. I'll make another video of my own about horseweed. So, hearth selection. I have a few sticks here. You want to find a stick that's wide enough to support your spindle. If it's the same diameter as the spindle, you may tend to have your spindle slide off one side or the other while it's spinning. So you want to make sure it's wide enough that your spindle can stay on the hearth. So if I had a spindle about as big around as my pinky, I'd want something maybe this thickness, personally. But then you'd want to flatten it so that it doesn't roll. Because that's one of the big struggles, is that when you're trying to hold this down with your foot and do the hand drill, sometimes it'll actually rotate on you and settle more into the ground, and as your foot moves, it'll rotate the stick. So if it's flat on both sides, that'll keep it from rotating, and you'll have a much more stable hearth. Much stabler hearth. So the trouble in selection, more so than species even, although species is important, even more important I feel like is the stage of decomposition, because you're not looking for a fresh stick. This is a stick that I harvested fresh. It's very hard. So you don't want that. You want your spindle to actually be able to hand drill through the hearth. That's how you're going to make your dust. It's going to come from the spindle itself, of course, but you're also abrading dust off of the hearth. So this first one, I probably wouldn't use this one. It's really, really solid. It's difficult to deform. It's difficult even to scrape. I'm not sure my spindle is going to be able to go through this. I can pull it apart. You can see it's decently decomposed. Can you see that? It's decently decomposed. I can see it. You can see the dust coming off, I'm sure. It's decently decomposed, but a lot of it is too solid, I think. Then you have other sticks like this one that are just obviously too decomposed. That one's already soil, essentially. It's already gone. You can't really use that for hand drill. It would just punch through. So how do you find that happy medium where it's not too hard, not too soft? I would say you find out with these, with your fingers. You've really got to get out there and just put your hands on some sticks. You've got to go out there and find your hearth yourself and learn through experience what the texture needs to be like, what the hardness needs to be like. Something I settled on recently as an experiment that seems to be going decently well, again, except for the humidity, is old fence boards. People will put these out on the side of the road. There were some hurricanes here in Louisiana recently, like there are all the time down here. And people got rid of a lot of their fence boards because they were just breaking off the fences and things. So while I'm not happy about the hurricanes, I'm sad that people are affected that way. I do get to benefit off the garbage. So you can see I have a couple of little divots here I've already burned in. Haven't gotten a fire from this one yet, but I'm working on it. And it's a good thickness. It's already wide enough. I actually ended up splitting this one to get to this thickness. You can still see the fresh grain there, fresh-ish. I split it down to a width that I was more comfortable with. And yeah, it'll generate a lot of dust, which I love, but it also doesn't just immediately go all the way through. You can see these divots are only about halfway through the board. So yeah, that's it on hand drill fire for noobs. The biggest thing is your hearth selection. That's going to be the hardest part. It's been the hardest part for me, so I'm predicting that for some of you, if not most, it's going to be the hardest part, is figuring out your hearths. And I would say just go out there and go find some. Try it. You've got to just pick a hearth and try it. If your spindle punches through, now you have a hard memory in your head. Okay, that's too soft. And you go out and you get another one, and you spin, and you spin, and you spin, and it's not going anywhere. Okay, that's too hard. Mental note. Okay, so stay earthy, get outside, find some good boards, and yeah, try and make a fire. It's really fun. You are going to work up some calluses. Don't push yourself too hard. We're going to go over that a lot more in my spindle video coming up. Do make sure to follow me on Instagram and Twitter. That's where I'm the most active. I'm also here on YouTube, obviously. I'm also starting a Vimeo channel. Check me out over there as well for my naturist content. And that will be all for today.